Well, this is awfully embarrassing for the writers of the Witcher show on Netflix. I know there's a lot going on with Elon Musk, but I'm trying to stay loyal to my viewers who don't want 15 videos a day about Elon Musk. Although I do admit it has been pretty fun finding a lot of new viewers. If you're new here, this is what I do 5-6 times a day, 6 days a week. All I ever ask is that you leave a like, and if you haven't yet, hopefully I'll earn your subscription. Plus, I also need to update my set. It's a little Halloween-y still. We're into November. It's Thanksgiving time. Now, how it started. Some of the Witcher show's writers actively disliked the books and games. Now, if you saw over the past couple of weeks, news broke that Henry Cavill had decided to leave The Witcher. Now, there are many reasons why this could have been the case. Maybe he decided he wanted to go be Superman again, as we know that he has returned at least to play Superman in the Flash movie, I think, or something like some other movie. There's no new Superman movie in development, I think is what I heard. We also knew that Henry Cavill had said that he would be willing to, I'm paraphrasing his quote, but it is pretty darn close, essentially said that he was willing to commit to the full run of The Witcher as long as the writers stayed true to the author's material. Then, 2 weeks ago, this article comes out. Some of the Witcher show writers actively dislike the books and games. The Witcher has been big, and I think somewhat unexpected hit for Netflix, and done so while remaining reasonably faithful to the original source material. But according to writer-producer Bo DeMeo, not everyone on The Witcher's writing team was so enthusiastic about sticking to the Witcher author Andrzej Sapkowski's version. Now remember, Henry Cavill had said, hey, I'll do this as long as they stay faithful to the book, essentially. DeMeo, who's serving as head writer on the animated X-Men project that's set to debut in 2023, told Direct that he was careful to ensure that only X-Men fans were hired for the writing team because of bad experiences he's had with non-fans on other shows, one in particular. I've been on shows, namely Witcher, where some of the writers were not fans or actively disliked the books and games, even actively mocking the source material, DeMeo said. It's a recipe for disaster and bad morale. Fandom has a litmus test, checks egos, and makes all the long nights worth it. You have to respect the work before you're allowed to add to its legacy. Of course, DeMeo was credited as a writer on 2 episodes of Netflix's Witcher series and co-produced on 2 others. He also co-produced and wrote the screenplay for The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf, the animated tale. Now, here's the thing. Showrunner Lauren Hisrich also paid tribute to Sapkowski's work, telling IGN ahead of the show's debut that we're all big fans of the books. We're all big fans of the video games as well, but this is solely based on the books, and that's what we really drew inspiration from, starting with the short stories. The reaction to DeMeo's revelation on social media has been what you might expect, described as split. Some say it's impressive that The Witcher was so good despite discord in the writer's room. Others say that the writer's room discord explains why The Witcher failed to live up to its promises. A few pointed out, and think that it's probably the fairest take, that good scriptwriters should be able to adapt and improve on source material even when they find it subpar, and that Sapkowski's original work isn't beyond reproach. I mean, sure, but isn't that interesting that Henry Cavill, who again said, I'm happy to play Geralt as long as it stays, loyal to the source material, recently quit the show. Now Netflix gets even more embarrassed. And by the way, I've reached out to Lauren. Some of you know I actually have a direct line to her or a line to her. I don't know how often she's on Twitter anymore these days to try and confirm this. I doubt she'd confirm or deny it to me, but I tried. In light of the news that Henry Cavill has voluntarily declined to return to Netflix's The Witcher, fans of the series have launched a petition asking the streaming gen to do what they can to entice the now former star back into the boots of Geralt of Rivia, starting with a full replacement of the adaptation's writing team. Andrzej Sapkowski himself said about Cavill, I was more than happy with Henry Cavill's appearance as The Witcher. He's a real pro. Just as Viggo Mortensen gave his face to Aragorn, so Henry gave his face to Geralt, and where it shall be forever so. Ma introduced the petition, citing comments given by The Witcher's creator in 2019 interview with People magazine. Quote, Henry isn't leaving The Witcher because of Superman. Netflix executives have once again made a grave decision against delivering for their fans, they argued. The reason why The Witcher is such a popular show and because fans of the source material and books and games that are hated by or actively have been mocked by some of the writers and the showrunner, continued, Henry Cavill is one of those fans. He knows all of the insides and outs and wanted to stay true to Sapkowski's world, which is why Netflix wants to replace him. Maybe. Moving the reality of the public cause, Moss said, let us show them in pure numbers and thus lost money, because that's what they care about, that none of us Witcher fans will stand with them and will abandon the show and potentially our subscriptions after The Witcher Season 3 is concluded, because he's still Geralt after Season 3, or for Season 3. Netflix can only exist because all of us pay them monthly to produce the content that is entertaining for us. Unfortunately, all public information points towards the production team making decisions that are completely opposite of the fans and our interests. Well, here's where things get kind of embarrassing. As of this writing, Moss Petition has 73,000 signatures, far more than its original goal of 50,000, and just shy of its recently updated endgame, 75,000. We already had to suffer through the disaster that was the end of Game of Thrones. Ma cautioned in the conclusion of the petition statements, Netflix, don't repeat the exact same mistakes of holding on to writers and showrunners that believe themselves to be superior to the actual creator of the stories that made them successful. Yeah. I mean, this is pretty embarrassing. If you go to the actual petition itself, it is now, oh my God, 144,000 people. Now, Henry Cavill has not come out and I think that it would be kind of crummy if people were like, oh, well, Henry Cavill hasn't come out and said anything directly, so he's just not doing that because he's a consummate pro and he really just hates her. We don't know until he comes out and says something, which he never will do. There's just not going to be, we're not going to know. But it's interesting to me that so many people are willing to sign this. I mean, 150,000, the writers suck. Henry Cavill is Geralt. The writers should be fans of the franchise. Now, they said some of the writers, not all of the writers. But to have 144,000 people, I mean, this will hit 150,000 after I make this video, almost certainly. You start to wonder, is Netflix, are they going to listen? Because then this rag, I mean, we got this covered, so, you know. But it says Netflix has a Liam Hemsworth-sized problem on its hand as the Witcher petition closes in 150,000 signatures. Recastings happens in Hollywood all the time, but very rarely do they involve the star of one of the most popular shows on the biggest streaming service in the business dropping out to be replaced by an actor the fans have made abundantly clear they do not support. As a result, Netflix has a massive problem on its hands when it comes to The Witcher. Now, I don't have anything against Hemsworth. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I've ever reported on him, so that's probably a good thing. So for a lot of viewers, there's no point whatsoever in continuing on the small screen adventures revolving around Geralt of Rivia without Cavill in the lead role. I would agree with that. Something that's been made perfectly clear by the demands for The Witcher to be canceled altogether, instead of having Liam Hemsworth step in as a leading man nobody seems to want. To make things even more transparent to the bigwigs at the company, a petition demanding the entire creative team gets fired so that Cavill can return to the continent is fast closing in 150,000 on change.org, which means the campaign has increased its support almost tenfold in less than a week. While petitions and online movements rarely yield tangible results, if we look at it on the macro level, it's bad news for Netflix. The Witcher is now all but guaranteed to suffer a huge drop-off in viewing figures whenever Season 4 arrives, while Hemsworth is now placed in the unfortunate position of inheriting a role he auditioned for several years back that he's clearly eager to play, but the actor will no doubt find himself completely and utterly untenable to stem the overwhelming tides of discontent. I mean, I don't think it's fair to blame Hemsworth. And also, I think that it's a reasonable assumption that Henry did not like where the show was going. And so he quietly kind of dipped out. I also think that it's reasonable to say that we don't know for sure that that's why he left. I don't think, I think Henry's been pretty much above reproach. He's been, really a pro fan kind of guy. So I would suspect that he's never really going to give us any reason why he left. But you'll have to watch now if Netflix makes any moves. Do they replace writers? I mean, if you replace writers and you don't bring Henry back, then what's the point? Essentially, you still have to bring Henry back. And we don't really know why he quit. And maybe there'll be more revealed down the line, but this is just not a good look for Netflix at all. I hope you enjoyed this video. And it sucks to lose Henry in this role, knowing that DC is probably never going to give him a good Superman movie either. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do leave a like on it and subscribe down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.